Okay, so let's go into the IAM and admin section of the Google Cloud Platform, because you probably want to invite some colleagues to your cloud projects so that you can both work on Google BigQuery. When you go there, you will notice that you actually have nobody else who is in here, and you should be considered the owner of the project. Make sure, once again, that you're in the correct project. You're in org, data warehouse, raw, or whatever you named your project. Otherwise, you'll be adding people to another project and they will not be able to get access. How do we add a person? Because inside IAM, there is a lot of options that you have. The most important two are actually IAM itself, Identity Management by Google for users, and service accounts. It's basically accounts for other computers in order to send data to, for example, your BigQuery account, or to work with your Google Cloud function, or to get access to a Google Cloud bucket. So for example, if you're working with ImageX, ImageX. So for example, if your company uses them, they are a front of where your images are stored, and you can choose to store them in a Google Cloud bucket, and then they will just fetch it there. Super smart business. They will need a service account in order to connect with your Google Cloud Platform so that their servers can work with your specific Google Cloud bucket, and a service account then really allows you to limit their access to only get access to the API with that specific cloud bucket, and not to delete, for example, but only to read, or delete and read. You really can decide that yourself. And I will actually show you that in a follow-up video. This initial video, or maybe later in this video, let's just do both at once. And in this video, I'll show you now first how to grant access to your colleagues. Here you fill in a principal. That's a fancy word for an email address. So you just type in Michel@Flipstream.io, for example. And then you select a role. And this is where it gets interesting, because you have a lot of roles that you can choose from. So if it's very simple and you're testing and you're playing around, just go with basic and make somebody maybe also an owner, or a viewer, or an editor, or a browser. They basically can't do anything. They can do some stuff and work with cloud functions, for example, that you've enabled. So if you have a colleague who can program, you can make him an editor, or her, or just an owner. Then they can do anything. They can also invite other people. They can also, if they have access to the billing, they can also see the billing and everything. Or you can make somebody a viewer, and then they can barely also do anything. Fun fact, very important, unless you're inviting somebody as an owner, they will not get an invite email. Google does not send invite emails when you're adding someone. They can just go with that email address into the Google Cloud Console, and they will see the project that they've been invited to in the project list. If you do invite someone as an owner, then that person will get an email that they need to acknowledge, and then it will open the project, and then they will be added as an owner. Choose always the least amount of access that a person needs. That's the best practice in the, let's say, cloud environment work. You don't want to make everybody an owner, because they have way too many way too much access everywhere. For example, if you find here BigQuery, you can make somebody a BigQuery admin. They can do anything inside of Google BigQuery then. Most of the time, that's also already not needed. Maybe a data editor is enough for a person to work with the data, or a data owner, or like, you can Google the IAM roles, and then you will find this page, and everything here is explained. What I did at the beginning when I started with all of this, I just made everybody an owner. Like, nobody's going to hold you back in doing that. because this is definitely adds a little bit of complexity because you need to really know what type of access you want to give somebody. But this should be in your head when you're giving other people access. If you know the person very well, just add them via basic. But really, especially when we're doing service accounts, always make sure you don't make them owners of anything or admins unless you really trust them and know why they need it. Because even solutions, technical solutions, should always ask you only for access that they really, really need, and not just to be an admin because it makes life easier for them. So you basically just do this. You add someone like that, and then you click on save, and then boom, now the person is added as a BigQuery admin. Well, this is also how you can remove access. Are you sure you want to remove access? Yes, I do. Gone. That's it. That's how you add a person to the account and you remove a person to the account. Now let's do the service account. What is a service account? Well, I kind of already explained what a service account is. A service account is nothing more than access for a like a computer, basically, an API key. That's how you can consider it. That I know if you're really technical and you're listening to this, that's like not true, but that's a way to remember it. You always give it a name, and this is probably best to just give this the name of the solution that is needing this this key. I would recommend to always give a description, because you won't remember in 6 months, 7 days, and 8 hours what this was when you have a whole list. And then we're going to create and continue. And this is where it gets interesting, because again, here we can, for example, search for BigQuery job user, add another role, data editor. And now we're going to make the service account. Then you will get something like this. And within the Google environment, very often you can use this email address. Or if somebody externally needs this, you can go into manage keys, add a key, create a key, and then add a JSON. And then you actually get a JSON key that you can upload into whatever solution requested it. I would say 100% of the time, when a solution needs a service account from you in order to communicate with, for example, BigQuery, like Flipstream does, they will provide a tutorial. You can use DeepNote to write super cool queries, and you can connect it directly to Google BigQuery. They actually have a demo or like some explanation on how to get a key. So follow that tutorial. Just know that this is where it is and know what it is, because you very likely will be exposed to it. And that is also how I'm going to leave the... Oh, and then actually you do see it as a user. That's actually quite fun to show. Here you can also see that it is a service account and that it's a user, so you also know. Also be aware that it's very likely that you'll have more principals that you even don't know who they are, but that's because Google created them. When you create a cloud function, for example, Google will create a principal on their behalf in order to get the cloud functions up and running. Also here, we can remove access. I don't want that anymore. Gone. And here we can delete this one as well, the key. And now it's completely gone from our system. And be aware that if you do this and you do have like DeepNote, for example, set up, then it won't work anymore. And that is how you are in control over who has access to your Google Cloud Platform and technically can make costs on your behalf, right? Because if your colleague is working in DeepNote, does a lot of SQL there, and they request tons and tons of data from the BigQuery data set, data warehouse, it will be associated to this specific service account. And that is also why it's important to keep that secret and don't start sharing that online or giving it away to other people, because you don't know who's actually been using it, right? therefore you can't find out where the costs have been made. So in that case, if you're using service accounts, be aware of who you're giving access to it, because they can use it. If you don't trust it anymore, or if you don't remember it anymore, or if you don't know it anymore, you can always remove it, and then somebody will start screaming and say, hey, I don't have access to BigQuery or anything else that started breaking. If you want to know more about this least privilege, you can Google it. And actually, Google actually came up with quite a nice article. This is just considered a best practice, least privilege access to whatever you need in the Google Cloud or in the AWS Cloud or in like Azure Cloud, whatever you need. The principle of least privilege. Important in the cloud. And with that, I am going to stop talking about access, accounts, and IAM. And I'll see you in the next video.